continuing in our soul health conversations with me. And today I have someone very special to me. Her name is Mrs. Beth Reinert. And she and I have known one another. We met at an Alzheimer's Association conference years ago. I can't remember even what year it was, but we met and we just connected immediately. And we connected in our shared experience as caregivers, but our relationship has continued beyond that. And I'm just so delighted to have Beth here today. And so, hi, Beth.
Hi, Deborah.
Beth is based out of Mobile, Alabama. And I've spent some time in her sanctuary there. And I just cannot wait for you guys to engage and kind of tune in with us in this conversation, which is really going to be a very soulful conversation about relational transformation and how do we really get there. And so let me just tell you a little bit about Miss Beth. I think you're going to enjoy hearing about her. Beth Reinert has a Master of Education from the University of South Alabama and lives in Mobile, Alabama. She is an exercise instructor with over 40 years of experience, 28 of those years leading a support exercise group with women recovering from breast cancer. She has a history of bringing people together in various settings for the purpose of recreation, to gain a sense of community and for improved health. Most recently, she's organized and led a singing group for people living with dementia and their care partners called Heart Song Singers. She continues to network with caregivers and seniors in her area through her website, Caregivers Unite, to provide support, resources, and education. Currently, Beth is leading a weekly silver sneaker yoga class that focuses on brain, body, and balance at the local YMCA. So I, again, am introducing you, Beth. How are you today? So good to see you.
It's just so good to see your smiling face across the screen, across those miles between us. Not too many miles, though.
I know. It's amazing. Our relationship is definitely a testimony, I think, for so many other people in this world, and how God uses whatever he so chooses to bring people together. And apart from the fact that I know you and I know what value you bring into this world, not only within your community, but beyond your community in relationships with people like myself, but so many people you have met before, people you haven't met before. I've seen this work in your life. But one of the reasons why, number one, I felt so impassioned and propelled forward to do soul health conversations is because I felt in this time such a need for a richer, more fulfilling, deeper existence in our lives and in our relationships. And I think that one of the things that's so incredibly powerful about your anchor is the fact that you focus on the sense of stillness and intimacy in some of the things that you do. And I think in a world that we're in right now, where our focus is on sometimes fame and bigness and how much more and how many people we can get, that it's really important to kind of size us down to remember where real transformation takes place and where we build real intimate relationship, which is really in the one-on-one. And so the fact that so much of your expertise is in the group setting, in the small group setting, whether it's exercise therapy, whether it's caregiving therapeutics, whether it's teaching people about Alzheimer's, whatever it is, you have just, I think you are a model for bringing us back to old school, is what I call it, which is how do we really connect with other people so that the impact that we're having brings us to a place of true connection and transformation in other people's lives. So can you just start? Tell us a little bit about you and a little bit about how we got here.
Well, how we got here is, as you said, that ordained meeting in Where were we? We were in Washington, DC.
DC, yeah.
And we made that spiritual connection. When we started sharing scriptures, I think we just realized these were things that were common in both of our lives, and it just brought us together.
Yes.
And that was a situational meeting. We were both there for a different reason. And I think that's how I've had my richest engagements, are just situational. They just kind of happen spontaneously.
Yes.
My neighbors, I have great relationships with my neighbors, in particular, one little lady down the street that I've known for years. And the way I really met her was she showed up at my back door probably 20 years ago with a brush, a roller brush stuck to the top of her head. And she didn't even know me, but she picked me out to rescue her from a brush stuck to her head that she couldn't get off. And that was the beginning of our relationship. And now she's 101 and she's still one of my very best friends. And we talk. I feel like, well, I'm going to go down and visit my elderly neighbor. No, we are having a mutual interchange that we both benefit from.
Yeah.
And I think how we view people too, what we bring to the table, it's an equal exchange. It's not, I don't see myself as a person bringing a therapeutic situation into a caregiving situation. I'm a person meeting with another person on a relational level, without any judgment or expertise, but just a genuine conversation or interaction.
Yeah.
So,
purity.
Yes,
It's just such purity. We can overcomplicate things. We can make things about position and education and all of these things, which are important. But at the same time, when it comes to our relational development, the level of emotional intelligence and connectedness that we have with other people, it's really about how we relate to other people in a very pure and real way.
So no matter what the setting is, there has to be an initial meeting, unless you have an organized group, and we are going to talk about small groups, and they're often, organized with a purpose in mind.
Right.
I've always loved just being able to communicate with somebody one-on-one. If there's a party going on and there's all these people milling around, I'm very uncomfortable chatting, standing around, but I can get off with just one person and begin to share and connect. And that's where I just feel the most comfortable. So when we talked about what kind of anchor that would really hold our conversation, I just thought about, what my natural giftings are and what I'm inclined to and what I've been doing with my life for the last 60 years. So it seems to be, I've always been involved somehow in a gathering. And if I'm not in a gathering, I'm looking around to create one, even if it's in a waiting room where your people are together. And I just want to look around and say, okay, everybody sit up straight. Let's take a deep breath in.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just roll those shoulders back and down, because I just want to help people enjoy the moment that they're in. And of course, my background is in therapeutic recreation. And that's what that's all about, is using whatever abilities you have in the moment to enjoy your free time. That's really what that was about, therapeutic recreation. How can we enjoy the free time that we have? So without realizing it, it seemed to be just a natural inclination of mine to do that.
How do you think the time that we're in now, with so much, I don't want to say just isolation, but over the last 16 months, we entered into a place that I see spiritually was also intended to be extremely reflective and life-changing, even though the cost has been very high with the loss of life. I also see it as a time that we needed to be getting ourselves together inwardly, emotionally. And so with this gifting and this, I'm going to say, intuitive nature of yours, for the one-on-one, for the small gathering, for the intimate relationship, how do you think this last 16 months has really affected us from a larger perspective?
Well, I think, as you say, it was a reflective time. And I think
still is.
It still is. And it's kind of leaning back in that direction. I think it's given us an opportunity to find out what's important to us, especially those of us that were super busy and then all of a sudden we weren't. And who are we? What do we do with ourselves? I went through that. I was so busy, and then all of a sudden I wasn't. And
Right.
it took me a while to just adjust to the idea that I was at home. I wasn't going anywhere other than a walk around the block or a bike ride.
Right.
And, but then I think after we finally got over the shock and the disbelief of, is this really happening and how long is this happening?
Right.
We began to find new things to do. I did, I began to feed the birds and, and connect more with the neighbors that are walking in the neighborhood. And I think we kind of settled in to that new rhythm that everyone just kind of had to adjust to. But I think God had a lot of positive, silver linings. We learned how to Zoom. We found ways to connect.
Yeah.
At first, all those wonderful musical performances off of balconies and people coming together.
I remember that. Yeah.
That's inspiring to see that we were going to overcome no matter what we were faced with. Somehow we would overcome. And
do you think that has changed us, or is changing us on a real deep level?
Well, hopefully, if we paid attention
Yeah.
and was able to, take that step back and to evaluate what's important to me now.
Right.
Maybe I don't want to be as busy as I was before. Maybe
I like that. That's so true.
I'm enjoying things at a slower pace, and I'm certainly doing that. And I didn't fill my plate back up immediately when things started opening up, even though I would say my plate's a little heavier than it was
a year ago.
Yeah. And I wondered if any of those things would ever happen again in my life, and I began to doubt if I could even do that. But then a friend that had been in my class for years called me and said, I am isolated. I'm not doing good. I have Parkinson's disease. I'm declining. I'm socially isolated. Could you come out to the house and visit? I'll pay you if you'll come out to the house. And I said, you're not paying me and I'm coming out. Well, that was in November. And we've done that every week. And then I involved another lady. So the three of us began to meet in her home. I would just pick up the one because she was also in my class and wasn't able to drive. So the three of us began meeting together, and I was leading exercise with them. We were singing, we were praying, we were talking. It boosted me. It validated that I still had something to offer.
Yeah.
And we developed this deeper relationship.
Yeah.
And that was just a spontaneous, just a need, it wasn't planned, but it worked out.
Yeah. I think when I think about some of the conversations we've had in the past, not just this soul health conversation, but when I think about just so many other things that we've talked about before, what is it that you think is so transformative about being in the small group setting for anything?
Yeah. I didn't really realize the full value and richness of a small group. I always enjoyed being in groups and, pull things together and enjoy the friendships. But it was at a Memory Bridge retreat that I finally learned what we all need. And that is, are you ready for this?
What?
The very thing that we need is to be heard, someone to listen, and to actually genuinely listen to you and not be looking at this or ready with the next thing, but actually. And so at this retreat, we had a circle of learning. There was 12 of us from all over the world together. And we were all there because we cared deeply about people with dementia and caregivers. But it turned out what we learned in that group, it wasn't so much about techniques or how we can interact with someone with dementia. It was about what we needed. And when we found out what we needed, we could offer that to someone else. And it was the richest, most bonding. No one got through their 5 minutes of getting to talk without tears. And it was so refreshing to be heard. At that time, I was a care partner. No one was listening to me. My mother certainly couldn't speak with me. I was holding it all together, and I wasn't seen or validated by anybody. But to be in that group and to be seen and heard and validated was the most healing thing I could have had. And now I just realized that I don't have to have anything other than an interesting face and listening. And that, I think I remember hearing somebody charge $5 a minute for a phone call to just listen. and it was such a popular phone, it was a great business for this person just to listen.
Right.
And so what we learned is, love is listening.
Yeah. And this important thing that you're talking about in terms of needing to be heard is also what creates a sense of connection to other people. Because it's listening and being heard. But to your point, there is a value also in how we listen. And so, like you said, I mean, well, we can debate the term listen and hear and all of that stuff, but what you're talking about is really being connected to someone else's story, not superficially, not in a way that is pacifying so that we can hear what they have to say and move on to what we have to do, but stopping for long enough that you become invested in hearing what someone else is going through.
Right.
I mean, talk to me a little bit about, like, when you talk about being heard, what are some of the, I guess what I'm getting at is, what are some of the things that you think really move the needle in people's lives when they're in those moments of being in a small group and being heard and feeling value, even from your own perspective? When you say that you were a caregiver at that time, as an example, and you didn't have anyone validating or valuing, is even a better word, what you were going through. So what do you think is the thing that makes this meaningful, and why are we not doing it?
Well, it takes some effort.
It's very true, very simple, but it's very true.
Yeah, listening without trying to solve somebody's problem, trying to correct, or just, wanting to move on, to be able to let somebody fully experience what they're going through and just share and just say, just continue allowing them to talk about whatever it is. In my case, it was caregiving. And the first time we were together, we were together a week at this Memory Bridge retreat. So we had time afterwards to hang out. The best part was at night, we were all kind of in a dorm setting and we're all sitting on beds together, all these women. It was like here we are, in our 50s or 60s or whatever. And we're eating chocolate and talking about our hairstyles back when we were 17. We just sharing it opened up the doors.
Yeah.
And we felt safe and we were trusting each other with our lives, and it just flowed out of us. But it takes a little while to get there. You don't just jump in. You have to just have a continued conversation. It's not just a one-time thing, generally.
And I think it starts with an open heart, because, you get in the right setting. I think that retreat setting is so powerful that you were talking about. There's something about that, which we can talk about that in another conversation. Right. But I do think that there's something so powerful about being intentional. Even just getting people to take a moment and come together, or to be open to the idea of connecting in a small group setting, a setting where everyone may even, like, for example, and you can tell me more about some of the groups that you engage in, that you initiate, but everyone doesn't have to come with the same issue. Would that be accurate?
Sure. We all have a variety of issues. So,
Right.
I was leading that support group for women who'd had breast cancer. And right in the middle of it, I'm a caregiver for my mother. They were my support group. But then not only were they women who had breast cancer, they also were women who had mothers or fathers or sisters that had been sick or had dementia or were we all have such a variety of experiences that we can share.
Right.
So you don't have to have a particular, I've lost my train of thought. What was I thinking about just then?
About the retreat, or about having the same issues, or?
No, I was thinking about my stretch class. I was thinking about the stretch class, which was a acronym for Strength Through Recreation, Education, Togetherness, Caring, and Health. And it was initiated by the American Cancer Society back in, my children were like 2 and 5 when I started teaching that class.
Right.
And it just ended with COVID. So to give
Oh,
you an
wow.
idea, that was a long time. But the value in that group, even though they'd all gone through breast cancer, they could share their own personal experience. And here's what I was thinking. I was
Oh,
thinking
yeah.
about Brene Brown's vulnerability is the birthplace of love. And
Uh-huh.
it is so true. It is being vulnerable, sharing what you've been through and your true feelings. And that, rather than feeling threatened by opening up that, honesty, it actually draws people to you because they're more they can relate. Now you're really beginning to share your heart, and there's compassion going on, and I have found that to be a real key. That vulnerability part is really opens doors and draws people together, no matter what the setting.
I'm sorry, say it again.
No matter what the setting.
No matter what the setting, no matter what challenges someone may bring, I think that to your point, there are, we've seen the small group setting manifest in churches in different ways and things like that. So I think that collectively we get the importance of the one-on-one, the connection, especially when we're more focused sometimes in the larger space, even in the church setting. But here's my thought. I think that this time that we're in, just from a spiritual perspective, is almost an opportunity for reimagining how we see things moving forward. And I say that because things are shifting in our generations, things are shifting in how we connect and do things. We've been Zooming and all this stuff for the last year and a half. We're still going to be doing it. But at the same time, there's like a reimagining that we're being given an opportunity to do in terms of how we are building our relationships with other people. Because you can have a lot of relationships, but the question is, what is the quality of the relationship? And so I, having been with you and having seen and talked to you about the different kinds of groups that you've had, I see all the things that you said as kind of the secret sauce. I think it starts with for lack of a better word, the leader of the group, the person that's, beginning or starting the group, kind of sets the tone for what you want to open up and hope to experience in the group. But I also think that there is a level of transformation and healing that you just talked about. Is there any way you could talk more about what that healing looks like? What kinds of things have you experienced? I'm talking about breakthrough experiences and things like that you've seen take place in any kind of group that you've done that is really tough to happen in the bigger groups, in the larger environment.
Yeah, and that even the term small group, when we start talking about at church, we're going to start small groups, everybody get plugged in. I'm thinking, oh no, now there's something else I have to do. I have to read a book, and now I've got to keep up. And after the hour-long meeting and we turn off the Zoom, I think, well, was that, worth doing again? I mean, it's really, for me, anytime I get involved in some kind of small group, my whole reason is because I want to get to know the people. I don't care what the topic is. It's what, getting in relationship with people. It's why I had Danny and Ellen and Linda and Don and Brian around my dining room table when we had that conference, because I wanted to get to know those people on a more intimate basis. And, having a conference was great, but if they hadn't have been around my table, we wouldn't have had that interaction that we had. That was just magic, singing together,
Yes.
And so anytime I try to pull people together, it's because I'm looking for a deeper, richer,
connection
sense of who they are, and get to know them, so that when we're maybe on a different level, I have a more comfortable feeling, with that person.
Yeah.
You're talking about a specific thing. I'm thinking about a lady that was in the stretch class, that when she came, she'd overcome breast cancer and lung cancer and divorce, and was just trying to find her way.
Yeah.
And we just, of course, this group of women were very embracing anybody new that came in. We just wanted to make them feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And she came in with a personality that was different than how she ended up over time. She became more who she was, I think she was just trying to find who she was now after going through all that. She's a very smart, very educated person. And now she is in better relationship with her family. She's put weight on, she's healthier, I mean, just a transformation. Thinking about that friend out there that called me saying, I'm isolated and I'm not doing well. Could you come out? The first day I went out there to see her, because of her Parkinson's, her feet were shuffling. She barely made eye contact with me. She's looking down. She hasn't been around people in so long. It's awkward. She was so uncomfortable. By the end of our 2 hours of visiting, her gait improved. She's picking up her knees. She's looking at me in the eyes. She's smiling. She's just transformed before my eyes just within 2 hours. And then after that, she had reason to clean her house and prepare for visitors because we were coming every week. I mean, that was a really quick turnaround. And that was just knowing she had something to get up and live for. She had just become despondent.
I am so in awe of that. I think that, and I shared this with you before, but I'm just going to share it with everyone. I think that I still think we're kind of losing our way. I think that we are, I don't want to say we're distracted, because not all things are, there are many things that serve a great purpose. But I think that if our eye is not on the right ball, and we're not focused on also our intention around the things that we do, then we're going to miss the mark in what God is really trying to accomplish in so many different things that may seem like messes, but they're allowed in order for us to get to the miraculous part. And so I'm sharing that to say, because I really want you to, you talked about the first story about the lady becoming more of herself. Tell us what that means. Like, what do you mean by that?
Do you know the minute I was talking about her, I just got a flash on my screen
Stop
from
it.
a message from her congratulating me on the birth of our grandchild. So apparently somebody's put it out there.
That
Listening. She's tuned in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait till she finds out that her ears were burning.
I know. And then as soon as she finished, I got a call from the lady up the street, 101 with the
Stop it.
She just called because I know she wants to know the name of the baby.
I told you the devil was trying to keep us from this conversation today. We've got connections happening all around.
It is happening all around.
Yeah.
And isn't that the way it works?
It's confirming, it's assuring.
Yeah. I just think that she had lost her way with the divorce. It was so bitter and so upsetting to her. She'd had some estranged family relations. And I think just the consistency of meeting and the love that we were offering, and her being able to express herself and
no judgment.
No. And Carola is determined. She is going to find me. Sorry, I can't talk right now, Carola. I'm going to call you in a little while. What's the baby's name? The 1-year-old lady, she remembers everything. It's amazing.
Amazing.
Then she started coming to 2 other groups that I was involved with.
Right.
And so she was around a lot. And I just saw her begin to blossom, like when we were in the Heart Song Singers and she was a part of that. There was a couple there that she really got involved with, and dancing with the husband, who had dementia. And she just found new life, new purpose, new things that she could offer, and that was validating to her. She did the artwork for the cover of our music book, and it was a surprise. She didn't know it was going to be. And there was just so many things that I think she just blossomed, and now she's become a spokesperson, with the local cancer hospital, and is engaged with that family she wasn't engaged with. I'm not sure how that all happened. A lot of that is prayer, and just seeking those things. But God is good.
I think He is 100%, and I think what I hear in the thread of that too is how people get to a crossroads in their life, and for whatever reason, they're at a crossroads because they've been through divorce or losses, which divorce is like death. But people go through disappointments and losses, and they're at intersections. We reach intersections at different stages of our life too, in terms of our age. And but people go through these intersections in life, and when they reach certain intersections, they need something different than what they had before. And sometimes the something different is not clear to the person. And meaning, whatever you did before that had you feeling fulfilled or satisfied will shift on you when life shifts on you. And so it sounds like, you're talking about your open heart and creating a safe space for people to find themselves, is the word that you're using, but for people to meet that intersection, not having the answers, being able to be heard. And in some cases, you don't know what's wrong. You just know something's not right. But being in a safe place, being in a secure space, and being with people that you feel like are open and trusting, it makes it safe for me to figure it out. And sometimes it's at that intersection that you need something different. I don't know that in that moment of that person's life, if it would have been more rewarding or it would have been as effective doing anything in a larger scale than what she needed at that point, which was to be connected in a smaller group with a small group of people that really wanted to be with her, that wanted to listen, that wanted to be supportive. And I really think that we're on to some, I think that this is how we are reimagining what community and connection looks like, even as part of a church family.